Open border immigration involves the free movement of goods and people between national jurisdiction without restrictions on their activity. Many people assume that undocumented immigrants will take jobs from American citizens. However, this argument ignores the nature of the job market. Immigrants increase the supply of labor, and they also spend their wages on homes, foods, TVs, and other goods and services, and expand domestic economic demand. Furthermore, the increased demand generates more jobs to build homes, make and sell food, and transport TVs. Immigrants can succeed in the United States precisely because the country needs workers. Immigrants are likely to work more than U.S. born citizens overall. This includes at any education level. About 97% of immigrants who looked for jobs in 2022 found them. Furthermore, the immigration population increased by 2.7 million from January 2021 to June 2023. These immigrants found jobs in a wide variety of industries such as landscaping, construction, computer, programming, and management. Immigrants can also help bring down inflation. The effect on inflation comes not through lowering wages, but through increasing production. The purpose of the economy is to produce goods and services that fulfill the needs of the U.S. consumers. Staffing shortages, which closed stores, kept trucks off roads, and prevented ships from being unloaded, were critical aspects of inflation in 2021 and 2022. Immigrants allow more goods and services to reach consumers, which in the end bring down prices.
Border control is a major financial issue for a country. $25 billion is spent per year by the United States on border control. Border control requires a lot of well-trained personnel such as the Army. To continue, machinery like vehicles, cameras, and sensors require tons of money on top of all the money spent planning, deploying, and paying for salaries. Having an open border would free up a lot of money since there would no longer be need for a wall or immigration and customs enforcement. If the border were to be closed, the government would have to spend billions more because they would have to up our defenses and our border patrol machinery.
In their home countries, immigrants usually lack the freedom to achieve their full potential. Having an open border would allow it to be easier for families to improve their lifestyle and livelihoods in a variety of ways. Furthermore, parents would bring their children to a new country with better opportunities such as better education, better medical care, better jobs, and other things their country can't provide for them. Additionally, there are several government assistance services for immigrants. A couple programs are SSI, SNAP, TANF, and Emergency Medicaid. SSI, which is Supplemental Security Income, is a federal program that provides monthly payments to more than 7 million people who have limited income and few resources. SNAP, which is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, provides food benefits to low-income families to supplement their grocery budget so they can afford nutritious food essentials for health and well-being. TANF, which is Temporary Assistance for Needy People, provides grant funds to states and territories to provide families with financial assistance and related support services. State-administered programs may include child care assistance, job preparation, and work assistance. And Emergency Medicaid helps eligible, undocumented, and temporary immigrants pay for medical costs when they have an emergency. The thought process behind this is families will come here to do what they need to, and then will move back to families and friends once they have accomplished their goals.
Immigrants bring new ideas, experiences, cultures, and perspectives to their new communities. Immigration helps to improve the social life of people as they learn all about the new cultures, languages, and customs. This could make a community stronger. Immigrants could start new businesses, earn an income, and support other local businesses. Immigrants are revitalizing what we think of as our unique American culture. They are changing the food we eat, music we listen to, books we read, and films we watch. The Jewish people brought bagels, and the Italians brought pizzas. Immigration helped diversity TV programs and movies and music. Pop music starts with roots in Latin American, have brought Latin rhythms mixed with American pop music. Immigrants have broadened mainstream American cultures while also creating new mixtures that blend aspects of American culture and immigrant cultures.
Immigrants, by their numbers, have provided a lifeline in many cities that were losing populations. This played a key role in the growth of places such as Las Vegas and Orlando, which are becoming major city areas for the first time. Immigration also revitalized remote rural communities, which slowed population loss and also promoted the population to grow. In several cities, immigration helped decreasing neighborhoods make a comeback by lifting population and encouraged economic growth. A majority of those counties in Iowa, Ohio, Mississippi, and North Dakota lost population. St. Louis, Detroit, Cleveland, and Milwaukee also saw a major decline in population during the pandemic. However, immigration could help rebound the cities and counties struggling who saw major declines in population.
With open borders, there are fewer restrictions and checkpoints. Therefore, lack of checkpoints and customs searches may be fortunate for illegal trading. Banned substances such as narcotics may spread easily in the country. Furthermore, fentanyl has been pouring in with the immigrants and is now the leading killer of Americans 18 to 45. CBP, Customs and Border Patrol, has seized more than 25,500 pounds of fentanyl. The spike in fentanyl-related deaths has caused national conservation and concern. In 2021, 90% of 80,000 opioid-related deaths involved fentanyl. Last year, the DEA has seized enough fentanyl to kill every American. More than 50 million fentanyl-laced pills and over 10,000 pounds of fentanyl powder. Most fentanyl is being smuggled into the U.S. along the southern border. Cartels and other criminal groups in Mexico have turned the production of synthetic opioid into a secretive industry which has become the primary source of fentanyl in the U.S.
Border officials have encountered more than 5.5 million people. This includes more than 1 million known getaways and an untold amount of violent criminals, gang members, and potential terrorists since Biden has taken office. To continue, the cartels have seized operational control of our southwest border. This is because a handful of our Border Patrol have been pulled from frontline duties to focus on processing and releasing record numbers of illegal immigrants. The crimes committed by immigrants range from drug trafficking to violent offenses such as murder, sexual assault, robbery, and kidnapping. Furthermore, 24% of all federal prosecutions for drug offenses were from immigrants. The prosecutions are not just simple drug possession charges. These drug offenses are defined as the manufacture, import, export, distribution, and dispensing of dangerous drugs such as meth. The latest report from Texas alone is from June 1st, 2011 through November 30th, 2021. 356,000 criminal immigrants were booked into Texas jails. 243,000 were identified for being in the country illegally. These immigrants were charged with more than 401,000 criminal offenses. This includes 742 murders, 47,737 assaults, 7,524 robberies, and 11,000 sexual assaults and other sex crimes, kidnappings, and drugs and weapon charges.
The government may have been providing certain government services such as welfare, public education, and health care to the citizens who are entitled to it. Gaining more citizens quickly due to immigration may result in an increase in the number of people entitled to those government services. Furthermore, the government is also responsible for the building or managing temporary shelters or housing. This is a result of free space money and the workforce finding places for the immigrants flooding in. An example would be of the immigration issue in New York. Officials in New York are assembling tent cities for the immigrants who can't be placed in the shelter system of more than 200 hotels and other faculties that are already in housing 60,000 immigrants. Chicago is housing over 7,000 immigrants. Police stations and parks have been converted into makeshift shelters and plans to house immigrants in vacant schools.
Because of open borders, there were fewer restrictions. Therefore, it is easier for possible terrorists to enter the country. The Trump administration has consistently said that terrorists have entered the country through Mexico. Trump stated, "We have terrorists coming through the southern border because they find that probably the easiest place to come through." Furthermore, data shows 525 known or suspected terrorists were apprehended by agents at both northern and southern borders. Ara Melham of the Federation for American Immigration Reform told the Center Square, "Our open borders and easily abused asylum policies are not just for magnets for millions of economic migrants, they are also an open invitation for people who are intent on doing harm to our nation. International terrorist organizations and criminal cartels are very aware of our vulnerabilities and will not hesitate to exploit them."
Our economies, the governments of developed countries are forced to guard these borders. But what if we took a different approach? What if we allowed people to come and go freely? Many people believe that if we abandon immigration controls, our countries would be swamped with foreigners. Our economies and especially our welfare programs would collapse. It's an understandable fear, but is it really true? Think about this. Most people don't want to leave their homes, their friends, their family, and their established lives, much less forever. Most of them leave as refugees, or to seek the economic means to support their families at home. Most of them want to go back home, but closed borders encourage them to stay. If they leave, they might not be allowed back. Open borders encourage movement in both directions. Until the 1950s, when the United States scarcely controlled its borders with Mexico, people crossed to do seasonal work, but few settled. Salaries in a rich country stretch further in a poor one, and someone who works abroad has a higher status back home. In another example, the European Union admitted 10 much poorer countries in 2004 and 2007, which are home to 100 million people. The EU's rich countries have more than 8 times the income compared to its poorer countries, which is far greater than the gap between the US and Mexico. Yet only about 4% migrated from the east to the west, while many come and go. So maybe opening borders will not lead to overwhelming immigration or the collapse of our welfare system. Instead, it might even benefit rich countries by offsetting a shrinking labor force with seasonal workers. This